as we start up the stream, let's start out with reading the news. The news. We have some news, guys. Look at this. Look at this. What's this? The blog dota2.com. Okay. Let's see what they have to say. So they released this news on September 17th, and matchmaking update for the next ranked season. The new ranked season is here. Today's blog will go over the changes we are doing as well as areas we're still thinking about. The changes in this update will be rolled out gradually over the next 2 days as we iron out the bugs. The calibration part of the new season will begin this Thursday. Role symmetry. One big observation that we had since the previous update was that matches with misaligned roles had a meaningful impact on game quality. An example of this is when the mid player for one team has the highest rank on the team and the mid player on the other team has the lowest. This tended to cause games to be really volatile and not enjoyable. Yes, it did, which is amazing that they are acknowledging this and recognizing, because this is, I mean, that's one of the main issues and main grievances that I've had with the patch, is that you have some matchups that are just going to be deciding the entire game. If you have a certain player go mid and he goes up against someone way better than him, the game might already be decided by that, pretty much. So it's good that they're addressing. In the past, we used to prioritize rank spread between the two teams as one of the main criteria for the matchmaker to judge success. However, as part of this update, we are changing its priorities. It will now put a big emphasis on making sure that the roles are more symmetric rather than other criteria. This will also be something we will continue to tweak and iterate on over the coming weeks to make sure the algorithm's search structure is correctly tuned and optimized for this. Okay, I mean, sounds good overall. That sounds very reasonable. Sounds like what needs to happen. 1 second, I'm gonna bring it back up. And really great to read these observations, because this is, again, something I've cried about a lot with this experimental mode, and obviously Valve have paid attention to the way the games have gone. Draft role report. To help ensure that everyone plays the role that they queued for, this update includes a role report function during the drafting and beginning minutes of the game. Starting with today's update, using this information along with some other detection mechanisms, we will be much more aggressive in punishing players who abuse system. So this update includes a role report function beginning minutes of the game. Can you report people during the game then? It sounds like it, right? The report should be in the first minutes then, which makes sense. That's pretty good. Pretty good. I like the sound of that. I mean, that's when you need it. If people are not playing their role, you don't want to report that like 60 minutes later. And that, I guess you could report them for that and then report them for other stuff too after the game. So double reports. Good stuff. Core and support ranks. Some baseline Dota skills and knowledge are shared between the support and core roles, so having the two numbers be entirely separated didn't seem like a good idea to us, as we'd be losing valuable information about the player, as well as promoting some warped incentives when you play your least used roles. As such, when you win or lose a game queued on one type of role, we will also update the MMR for the other type by a percentage of that game's gains or losses. So if I'm a support main player and I play only support, I will still be increasing my core MMR a little bit if I'm winning a lot. Or similarly, if I'm a core player and I play on my support MMR, which I might not care about, if I lose, I'm still gonna lose some core MMR as well. So it's to prevent people from not giving a fuck about one of the MMRs, basically. And also, doing some connection to the baseline skills. We'll be tweaking that ratio over time as we figure out what's the best balance. Sounds really good and reasonable. Ban waves, everyone's favorite. This update includes a few different ban waves for bad actors. Yes, get those bad actors. The first ban wave is to players with exceptionally low behavior scores. We will continue to do regular ban waves for users who fall into this small percentage of the community. Users that reach this low level of behavior score in the game are too big of a tax on the rest of the community and are not wanted. Oh, that's pretty harsh. The second case where users will be banned today is for anyone detected of violating the Steam service agreement that prevents the purchase or sale of Steam accounts. So account sellers, account boosters, beware. Buying accounts to get higher rank or lower rank is not allowed and causes negative side effects for the experience, for the play experience of others. This doesn't catch all account sales that happen, but we think we've caught enough to take some action. We are also banning players who have been detected using exploits to gain advantage over other players. Yeah, some this is probably referring to the server crashing that they implemented stuff against, and also people who spawned, bots, like cheats in general, I guess, exploits to gain advantage, or maybe scripters. I don't know if that will be included in this since it's kind of vaguely phrased, but I suppose that should come under there as well. In the coming weeks, we'll be refining the detection algorithms for these abusive behaviors, and we'll begin issuing weekly bans that will go into effect without advance notice to violating accounts. So, you will not get a heads up, you'll just be fucking banned. Accounts that we ban will also now have the associated phone number permanently blacklisted from being able to have access to ranked matchmaking. Makes sense. I mean, not that it's super hard to get a phone number to, connect to a new account, but hey, it's something. They're making it as annoying as possible for people to continue being shits. Smurfs. Oh, my favorite part of this, reading about Smurfs. Did someone say Smurfs? We recognize that recently there has been an increase in Smurf accounts. We share the sentiments of the community has expressed on this issue, and we consider it a high priority for us to solve as well. There isn't a single solution that can address this issue easily, but we hope a combination of multiple different changes over time will reduce the negative impacts and frequency of it. The first change in this area is the usage of phone number verification. We found a loophole that allowed a large number of users to play ranked without a unique phone number attached. We've fixed this bug, and any users that does not have their account set up correctly will be prevented from queuing until it is resolved. This will also affect accounts that have been actively playing in ranked matchmaking rather than just new accounts going forward. Okay, I mean, that sounds like a good bug to fix. We're also charging the mechanism to grant ranked access, or changing. I thought he was charging. Ha! I was like, we're charging a mechanism? They're gonna shoot us? They're changing the mechanism to grant ranked access rather than a fixed number of games. We're changing the metric to be a time-based one and increase that amount to 100 hours of playtime. This is to prevent people from just playing turbo games to get into ranked faster. Any users that already have access to ranked without meeting this requirement will be removed from ranked until they have played enough time. Yeah, that's probably very few, but okay. Always something. Our general approach to Smurfs is to try to get accounts that are performing higher than expected to their correct rank faster. The first change on this axis is to adjust MMR by more than just plus or minus 25 when we detect that a user has been clearly overperforming based on how the played heroes usually perform at a given rank. This will be an ongoing process as we get better at detecting this, but from the data analysis that we've done so far, we think that we can make some progress using this. That's a good idea. I mean, basically by giving or taking away more MMR when someone is on a Smurf account, they're more quickly going to get to the correct MMR. So makes sense. Makes sense. This change will be silent for a few days as we verify the detection mechanism is working as intended, and will be enabled once that is verified. The other change we are making is how we calibrate the initial ranked MMR for new accounts entering ranked. Leveraging the new hours played gates, we're adding we're adding for ranked access. We will be using your account's historical performance more aggressively to place you into a more accurate initial rank. Okay, so does this remove the 3.5k? In the past, we introduced a really low cap. Yikes, dude, that's like really low cap. Rest in peace, anyone who's lower than 3.5k. A really low cap on the initial rank. We think that was a mistake on our part, because it costs Smurfs to unnecessarily impact a large volume of games before arriving at a closer to accurate rank. Oof, man, oof. That's Valve just being too harsh, man. The truth. Labs in 3.9k. But that's a good idea, I think. Once again, I like the idea of more than plus minus 25, and I like the idea of Smurfs calibrating higher, I suppose. It is going to affect less people overall, so. As long as we don't get to a point where people are like calibrating Smurf to like 6 or 7k immediately, because you know, that was a big issue that we had before, and with account selling. But then
WagaGaming.
Then of course they're taking actions against account boosting or account selling as well. So it seems like they're tackling this from multiple fronts, which is good. Rednarkin, thank you for 4 months. Appreciate the resub, man. Moving forward, we'll be spending more time on live detection of smurfing and boosting behaviors. This will hopefully allow us to put detected accounts into an aggressive recalibration, resulting in a much quicker adjustment to an accurate MMR while reducing the number of games that are ruined in the process. In addition to this aggressive recalibration, we're also detecting and banning accounts for egregious boosting and exploiting of game mechanics. So, noteworthy here from all their statement, right? Because they're posting here and talking about Smurfs and what they want to do to limit the amount of games that are getting ruined by Smurfs and the amount of games that are struggling because of Smurfs. Their general approach here is to put people in their correct MMR faster, not that they're going after to ban Smurf accounts. Because, once again, their terms of service and their general rule set has never stated anything about Smurfs not being allowed. You can have as many accounts as you want, they're just now going to more quickly and accurately put you in the correct bracket. Account buyers is a different thing though, because account selling is against the Steam terms of service, as they mentioned in the ban waves part. You'll note that smurfing is not mentioned anywhere in the ban waves, but they are a different issue that they're tackling. Isn't it boosters ruining and matchmaking more so than smurfing? Well, this is going to fix boosters a little bit as well, because this will still go towards this. The first access to change this is to adjust them more than plus minus 25 when we detect a user has been clearly overperforming, right? So if a booster takes over an account seller, you know, he takes over an account and plays on it, say that he's boosting someone's existing account, then they will detect that it's clearly overperforming, they will more quickly rise, and so that will ruin less games, and they will also be able to use that information to see that, hey, this is not just a smurf, this is a guy that suddenly fucking won 20 games in a row playing Meeple all the time, you know, where he's usually a support player or whatever. So it sounds to me like they're addressing the account selling as well with some of the changes that are listed here in the Smurf section. Yes, so let's keep going here. What are we saying? Yeah. So, MISC changes. To help reduce the role confusion when queuing as a party, we added a detailed pop-up for times when your party selected roles are incompatible, such as when 2 players have only selected the same role. While this update is banning extremely low behavior score players, we also increased the number of comments available for each player so you can recognize good behavior in your games as well. Just want to point out here, alright, before they updated that, guys, alright? Have you ever seen something like, look at this guy, look at my behavior, guys, I'm such a nice guy, and this before they fucking changed it. I want to see 60, 70, 100 comments. Let's go. Still not 10,000 though. Still not 10k. What's more impressive though, 10k here or 46 here? Other thoughts. There are a few other general changes that we are not sure are needed yet or haven't been able to address yet, but are on our radar. We thought it might be a good idea to supplement this blog with information in the hope that the community conversation about it can be helpful. Wow. I mean, just this. I mean, actually, just this. This is a big thing, even. Valve putting out a blog is big to begin with. Putting out a blog with what they're doing and why they're doing it is a big thing. Having them put out this section, which is just other thoughts, not even stuff they're doing, just what they're thinking about, what they're planning for. I mean, this is fucking big, dude. Valve never fucking communicates otherwise. So this is kind of nice. We get to read that they actually pay attention to stuff and what they are thinking about, which honestly I think is a good step in the right direction towards people knowing something is being done and something is being observed, right? You will be less frustrated about stuff if you know that there's eyes on it, let's say. Hi, more games. Oh, it's me. Well, we have some changes here that directly and indirectly improve the matchmaking quality for the extremely high-end bracket. We will be closely monitoring this to see if other changes are needed. Good. Good.
Did you guys know subs are 50% off thanks to Subway?
Subway? Pug. September, man. September. Sub now. Thank you, Sick of the Wilt, for the 19 months. Appreciate it. Hard support for certain MMR brackets, queue times, and game quality would be meaningfully improved if there were a bigger percentage of players queuing for hard support. Many of the subpar matches we've found are a result of there not being enough players to queuing for this role. We are exploring to see if there are any solutions that can be effective for incentivizing this. We also know that it is more common that you'll get hard support if you queue for all the roles, and we'd like that to eventually not be the case. That's a hard one to tackle, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure how you should incentivize it. I mean, you don't necessarily want to buff the POS 5 too much, because it's not like POS 5 is necessarily weak from a competitive aspect and from a balance aspect. It's not that the role is unimportant or bad. In fact, wards are cheap. You get a lot of gold for dewarding. You know, you have several smokes available. You have so much gold from stacking now that you never had before. I mean, being a hard support is more grateful now than it has pretty much ever been in the history of Dota. So incentivizing it more should not be from a balance perspective. I think you would have to do something else, which I'm not sure what they're thinking for that. But they're definitely correct. There are more people playing other roles than POS 5 in every bracket. Even in high MMR, people do not want to play POS 5 as much. It's just how it is. Reddit had a good suggestion. Free hats basically make the drop rate of items higher after playing hard support. Every support is gonna walk onto the battlefield with just the most swagged out heroes, like, yeah, here I am, POS 5 player coming through. Some fucking cosmetic pimp. Okay, I can dig it. I mean, if that's what it takes to have a support in the game, fuck it. I'm not sure about more MMR gain for POS 5 or less MMR loss or something like that. I don't know how that would really feel or work, because in the end, MMR is there to balance how closely matched the two teams are. So you don't want to give away free MMR, so to say, right? Giving away MMR to a player just because he played POS 5 will mean that he is now higher MMR, which means he will be put into games that expect him to play better, but he's not necessarily better, right? So I dislike changes that interact with the MMR without actually connecting it to a player being better. I don't like that idea, because it's going to make future games harder for that player and harder for that player's teammates in the future, where they probably shouldn't be, because he's not proven to be a better player. He's just picked POS 5. A lot of negativity around POS 5 is from the culture of the people that play Dota 2. POS 5 players get a lot of shit when stuff goes wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's true. But at the same time, I think so does everyone. I might be seeing this from a different point of view, perhaps. But having played mid and carry so much, I mean, one of the biggest things that I will flame is when my carry dies without buyback, or goes to farm a place that we know is not safe, then dies, doesn't have buyback. We lose Roche, we lose towers, we lose racks. The game is lost by one single mistake. Of course, supports will get shit more often because they have more things that they fuck up through a game. I mean, you needed to have a word there. You need to be in position to swap and save me. You need to do this and that. But a carry player or a mid player, if they die once, that mistake is already bigger than 20 mistakes piled up by the support player. And so I don't necessarily feel... I get what you're saying there. And I do agree that it's an ungrateful job to be the hard support. But I also don't think that hard supports... Maybe not in my bracket.
As a POS 5 player, it feels frustrating how little influence you often have on the course of a game. But maybe it's just me and I need to get good smile.
That's exactly it, though. That's exactly it. You have less impact on a game, perhaps. Of course, you can still win a game on your own as a POS 5 player. You can still make those big plays that end up changing the entire outcome of the game. But less often is that the case for a POS 5 than it is for a POS 2 or POS 1. And that's both the blessing and the curse of being a carry or a mid player. You have more impact on how the game is going to go in the later stages, and you have more pressure on your shoulders. You need to make the right decision. If you fuck up big. Hard supports don't have that pressure going into a late game on the same level. I mean, you still have a lot of things that you can do, don't get me wrong, but ultimately, if you go warding somewhere and it was a bad decision, the enemy were there, you die when warding, they deward you, yeah, that sucked. But you're probably not going to lose the game of a POS 5 dying like that. But if your carry dies in the same way, or your mid dies in the same way, they're fucking losing the game by one mistake. So yeah, there are things to be said about this. I think the incentive needs to be not MMR and not buffing the in-game support. So I'm really curious what they are thinking for incentives here. Cosmetics is not a bad idea, honestly. Role queue abuse, as mentioned above, we'll be much more aggressive in punishing players who don't play the role that they queued for. If we find that role abuse persists despite these efforts, we will consider implementing a role-specific bans that prevent a user from queuing for the abused role in future matchmaking games after they've left low priority. Our hope is that implementing such measures will be unnecessary as the results of our other changes. This is a great thing to know. Like they have they've loaded a gun, right? They fucking cocked the gun, it's ready, right? And if people don't fucking behave now with the changes they are implementing, then there will be more, man. They'll fucking gun them. That's good to know. Good to know. Smurfs. Dota 2 being a free-to-play game introduces various matchmaking-related challenges. One option we have thought about is having ranked access have a one-time entry cost. And that access can be lost for players who regularly ruin games. We may also grandfather in users that we have enough data on, but we haven't gone too deep in assessing the details here. We aren't sure if this is a good solution yet either. We hope that other solutions can have good effect for improving the matchmaking ecosystem. Yeah, basically they're talking about just putting a paywall to play matchmaking. I mean, I definitely like that they don't immediately shoot this fucking change in, because that would be a massive change, going from, one of the most celebrated free-to-play games out there, and one of the only true free-to-play MOBAs, right? Like, it's truly free. You get all characters, you can play everything, you can fucking install the game, and there's open qualifiers to qualify for fucking TI. Everything is open and free, which is something very charming about the game. So while I do like the idea of trying to make it harder, I still actually think that staying away from a paywall is the best option. But I guess it's still good that they've thought about it. In terms of our development focus moving forward, we're spending more of our time than usual focusing on matchmaking quality. That's a good thing. We believe this is the right call given how much opportunity there is to make the day-to-day experience better for all players. That's great that they're seeing. It's great that they're seeing that there is a lot of opportunity to make it better. Some developers would just be like, "Oh, our people don't like the matchmaking system. Well, do one change and that's the only thing we can do." But they're like listing several things they're doing already, and some things that they're thinking about, and in the end they're ending it on a note that they see so much opportunity to make it better. So, I mean, that's a good thing to hear. We look forward to seeing your feedback on this update and continue to hear feedback in the following weeks for how to improve matchmaking. Well, I mean, this is for you then, Val. I think that this is a very, very good step in the right direction. I think you're addressing issues that are extremely necessary. As a high MMR player, the experimental patch that we have been on has kind of killed my mood entirely for playing ranked, but a lot of these changes sound like they can make it better again. The biggest thing that I look towards from my selfish perspective of just my games is that I can get into games that are having exactly what you mentioned early here. The mid players are balanced, more symmetry on the matchmaking, but at the same time, actually being able to find games without having, ridiculously long queue times. Anything over an hour is kind of long and annoying to wait for. So this gives me some hope. I also hope that this is going to revitalize in some way the solo queue, which was practically dead in Immortal. Because party ranked is fun, but at the same time, I don't think that solo queue should be entirely killed off. So hopefully it will still be alive after this, or be more alive after this. But overall, pretty great blog. I like the changes here. Sounds like they're trying to make the life better for everyone. High MMR, low MMR, the only ones they're not trying to make the life better for is the people who are breaking the Steam service agreement and are, buying or selling accounts to play at a level that they're not belonging to. So, sounds good. A lot of kids from C play ranked. These kids are really good at Dota, but they might not be able to pay for ranked. Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I mean as well, that I like the idea and I like the fact that Dota is currently and always has been a complete free-to-play game where you can be a scrub, no money or whatever, but if you're good at Dota, you can play Dota and you can compete. You have access to it all. You don't have to pay. It doesn't drain your money. It takes your time. That's one thing. It takes your time, but so does every good game. But it doesn't actually make you, pay some unreasonable amount of money to unlock characters that you need to have to play and compete. None of that shit. So, Lord Escanor, thank you for the prime sub. Appreciate it. The incentives for playing +5 really don't make any sense to me outside of cosmetics, and I just don't believe that people would start playing +5 for lame items. Some people would. Some people would, I'm sure. Maybe not everyone, but you don't want everyone to do it. You just want some more people to play support. If there is a bigger chance to get cosmetics, then I can say for certain that a few people will play more. +5 if that's the case. But when more players with 3K, like 3K with old account, will be stuck in the 3K bracket forever. There's nothing that makes you stuck in no, right? There's nothing that makes you more stuck in MMR now than before. I mean,
it's that time of the month, WagaGaming.
It might be right that you would be stuck in your bracket, but it's not because of the changes, right? It's because of you then. I don't think there's anything in the system that's making sure you cannot climb. I think the main reason the hard support is not queued for is that there's no +5 that you can first pick every game that will reliably be fun to play in that game. Even if you go with the has a non-ulti stun, is ranged and can lane decently, you're already out of options. Let alone that being mobile is a big part of of the fun in fights, and most boss 5 heroes are very immobile by default and have little options to buy mobility. It's true, maybe. I don't necessarily think it comes down to whether or not you can first pick a hero that's going to be fun and impactful. I think it just comes down to people in general not being selfless, right? People are in general selfish, not selfless. And the boss 5 is a selfless role. You need to buy wards for your entire team. You're paying for stuff that everyone will make use of. You are going to be the one making the sacrifices, and your team will be the ones to benefit. That is a selfless position to play, and I think few people are naturally inclined to doing that.
Bonuses for playing hard support? Pog.
Well, something it sounds like they want to put in. I bet you're gonna get... It's gonna be like this. Every 10 games you play of hard support, you will get one Sven or Axe common item. There we go. That's my suggestion. That's the best I can do for you support players, alright? What amount is suitable for the ranked barrier if they implement it? I'm not sure it can be high, but too low will not be a real blockade. Oh, you mean like the 3,500 right now? Well, it sounds like they're gonna either... I mean, I would put at least a hard limit on 4.5k or 5k. You should not be able to calibrate an account immediately to 6k or 7k, I don't think. But immediately calibrating account to 4k, I think it can be fine. I mean, if they're basing the calibration on the 100 hours of gameplay up until the point of calibrating, and then the calibration matches on top of that, I think that sounds fine. Spin TV, think for the 18 months, the 1.5 year. Thanks for picking Witch Doctor. Here's $10. Go crazy. Yeah, you just get money on the Steam market. They just straight up give you a game every time. They're like, here's another game than Dota. Actually, that's a horrible idea. All the POS 5 players are getting different games for free on Steam. That would mean we will have less POS 5 players. They'll be off playing fucking, Rainbow Unicorn Adventures. Patches! Thank you for subbing as well, man. Thank you for using that Twitch Prime, buddy. And how much should we pay to play ranked? All right. Yeah, that's a good question too. If they are going to put some form of paywall, what level would that be? Well, I'm personally against the idea of a paywall at all. And I think if they want to introduce a paywall, I think it cannot be more than $10 at most. I mean, even $5 is already... The fact that there would be something is already... I'm against the idea. POS 5 is very ugly to play when that player has the highest MMR. I would love to play POS 5 when all the players I support are better than me. POS 5 should play with far higher other MMR positions. It's an interesting idea, but at the same time, I can tell you this: I really dislike being carry and having a support who's way lower MMR than me, and playing against a high MMR offlaner, maybe even higher than me, and him having a decent or high MMR POS 4, right? Because, I mean, the issue goes both ways there. If I have a low MMR support player, he's going to be making mistakes consistently. A lot of mistakes that are just going to allow the enemy offlane to abuse us. No matter how good I play, I am relying on my POS 5. You are the lifeline of your carry. While of course it sucks for a support to support someone who's way lower, it's true for everyone. You want to play with people of even MMR. That's just generally the way it is. And the same reason why I said the role symmetry thing sounds very good. At least if your carry and POS 5 are of a certain MMR, they can now make it so the enemy carry and POS 5 are also of similar certain MMR, so that the offlane and carry situations are similar on both sides. The same way that they can make the mid matchup be even. They can make the outcome from the side lanes be likely to be even as well. But I mean, there's so many things that can be done better for every player on every position always. So yeah, no, I agree. I agree, Animacalls. That's why I said that it could definitely not be more than $10. $10 would be an absolute highest if they introduce a paywall, which once again, as I said, I am against the idea. I think even having $5 is already more than I would want. I would prefer there's not a paywall on playing ranked. I mean, I like the fact that the game is free to play. I really do. I would never play ranked again if they made me pay for it. Well, I can't say the same thing, but I understand your mentality. I think a lot of people would be inclined to say the same as you.
Your turn to battle.
You have used Smurfs before. What were the goals behind it, not counting that you wanted a faster
5
queue time?
seconds remaining.
If they get rid of all the other issues, Smurfs will no longer be needed. Not counting queue time. Okay. So if we disregard queue time entirely, I guess there are two things that you can say.
Your turn to
First of all, if you want to play something that you don't want people to see on your main account or care about on your main account, you could play there. Which was true for me for a little while when I played in LOTV. But that was just games off stream that I didn't want people to see that I'm playing because we were practicing Heroes for tournaments. But that was a very small portion of the game. I would say 99% of the time that I've played on a Smurf is because I had bad queue time on my main account, or that matchmaking was fucked overall on my main account. So yeah, there was no goal other than that, because that's pretty much the only times that I've been smurfing a lot. Or, actually one more thing, playing together with friends that have lower MMR that I cannot play with if I play on my main. Because, interestingly enough, like on the previous patch here, we've had MMR differences of like 3000 MMR difference in solo ranked, in party ranked, but never could you play with them though, right? Like, I could find them in my solo game, so I can queue up for a game and get matched with some Divine player, but I would not be able to stack with players who are outside of my range, which was really, really dumb.
10 seconds remaining.
But yeah, quite simply, I would say the queue time was the reason. So I don't have much other reasons to